Welcome to What's Happening. In this regular roundup, Real Media and Phoenix Media Cooperative team up to provide unashamedly internationalist and subversive news, highlighting the work of people who are organising to forge a better world. Last Thursday, just days after the COP conference in Glasgow ended, 9 climate activists were sent to prison for breaching the terms of a private injunction taken out by Highways England Limited, apparently under instruction from the government. As Real Media reported last week, instead of facing a randomly selected jury of their peers, the 9 climate protesters were brought under the terms of the injunction, in front of peers of a very different kind. Judge Victoria Sharp, president of the Queen's Bench, who sentenced the 9 to several months in prison, comes from a family who have made a very substantial income from fossil fuels. While this doesn't necessarily suggest any bias, it does invite comment, and as Barrister Paul Powlersland explains in our interview, that use of injunctions rather than existing law means that the judiciary are effectively entering the political sphere and opening themselves up to criticism.
A key issue is the use of what's called injunctions to ban or to criminalise peaceful protest effectively, and to create harsher sentences by way of the judiciary than Parliament has given for those offences. So judges can grant injunctions by way of Section 37 of the Senior Courts Act 1981, which says they can do it wherever it's just and convenient to do so. Now, the key question is, do they grant injunctions to stop the illegal discharge of sewage into our rivers? No, they do not. Do they do it to stop the unlawful levels of air pollution in our cities, killing tens of thousands of people a year? No, they do not. They do it for peaceful protest. It's inherently undemocratic. The maximum sentence for sitting in the road for obstructing the highway made by Parliament is a fine. But now there are people serving 4 months in prison for the same offence. And so what we see is the judiciary have effectively entered the political game. They've entered the political field. And I think now they are fair game as a result for political critique of their role and what they're doing.
Alice Hardy, a partner at civil rights solicitors Hodge, Jones and Allen, wrote, "Insulate Britain are on the right side of history. The government's injunctions are not."
Shove your injunction, shove your injunction, shove your injunction up your arse.
On Saturday, a protest called at short notice attracted several hundred supporters outside the Royal Courts of Justice. The crowd marched along the embankment past Parliament and then sat down on Lambeth Bridge in defiance of laws preventing this form of non-violent civil disobedience.
There's a beautiful law firm called Hodge, Jones and Allen who've been doing this shit for years, and one of their lawyers, Raj Chadha, has said in no uncertain terms that this moment is absolutely unprecedented. We've got 10 people in prison already, and the next few months we're going to see more people in prison than at any moment in recent history in this country. We've got the HSBC window smashers. We've got the Colston statue topplers. We've got Beyond Politics. We've got the Rest of Us 30 Insulate Britain crew. We've got Palestine Action. We've got all of these people who are throwing their bodies on the line that this state is going to lock up. This moment is extraordinary. It's absolutely the right time for us to shift to a place of resistance, and that's what you're all here doing, and it's wonderful.
2 scientists are among the 9 Insulate Britain prisoners, and we caught up with some of their colleagues at Lambeth Bridge.
2 of my friends have been imprisoned, who are both scientists. They've been victimised by the system that has obstructed the message getting to the public and for action to happen.
I'm very concerned about the lack of communication and education to the public about the crisis that we're facing.
Government already have powers to prosecute protesters for obstruction of the highway, and I did find it quite frightening that they chose to use a novel method, an injunction, which just gave them the right to put much harsher prison sentences, fines and seizure of assets on protesters who are just trying to raise the alarm in the best way they can.
Scientists and ordinary people are trying to push the government to do their work, to educate the public and to start taking action now on this. So I'm here in solidarity with them.
Scientists trying their best to raise the message has resulted in their imprisonment, and that has to stop.
We are the resistance! resistance! We are the resistance!
The aim of the protest was to show the authorities that arresting and imprisoning peaceful climate activists would not deter others. And as police stood back on Lambeth Bridge, a large section of the crowd decided to move on and back the busy junction at Vauxhall Cross. There we spoke to several activists, including partners of those in jail.
We've just moved here from Lambeth Bridge. We're using our right, while we can, to sit in this road and challenge these High Court injunctions because they're designed to destroy people's lives through putting them in prison. My wife is currently in prison because of one of these High Court injunctions.
My partner's currently in prison as part of the Highway 9 and along with other really beautiful people, and I just think it's such an injustice that they will imprison people who care.
They are a bunch of white people. They're bloody annoying 3/4 of the time. They're a pain in the arse, but they're in a pain in the arse for a damn good reason. We're going to fucking die!
As we know, it's disruptive protest that changes things. We've seen that in history, so we've got to keep doing it.
After several hours, police finally cleared Lambeth Bridge, arresting 30 protesters, and at Vauxhall there were a further 94 arrests. Highways England have served papers on 130 Insulate Britain protesters and have said that dozens will be taken to court in due course.
If you've got an emergency, do you address the emergency or do you arrest the people saying, hey, there's an emergency? It's the ultimate case of shooting the messenger.
On Monday morning, Palestine Action campaigners shut down the factory as part of their continuing campaign against an Israeli arms company in the UK, Elbit Systems, which provides 85% of Israel's drone fleet. They say the Solvay factory in Wrexham produces materials and adhesives for UAV Tactical Systems Limited, a subsidiary of Elbit Systems. Specifically, Solvay products are used in the production of the Watchkeeper drone at UAV Tactical Systems factory in Leicester. Watchkeeper drones are used in Palestine illegally occupied territories for surveillance and targeting purposes, as well as by British and American coalition forces in Afghanistan and Iraq. The Palestine Action activists scaled the roof at Solvay, marked the building with blood-red paint and dismantled some of the premises, with the intention of disrupting the factory's future operations.
Solvay's complicit in murder!
There's 3 people on the roof occupying the site, occupying the factory. All the workers have had to leave and the factory has had to be evacuated.
3 activists were eventually removed from the roof by police late on Monday evening, and another individual was arrested outside the factory earlier. Saturday was the Trans Day of Remembrance. The year has been the deadliest on record for trans people. According to the Transgender Murder Monitoring November 2021 report, there were more than 375 murders. Black and brown trans communities are amongst the worst affected among global communities, according to Arya Saeed, an African-American trans activist and political strategist. Transgender people are more visible than ever, gracing red carpets, starring in movies, breaking records in policy and government. Despite that, she says, black and brown transgender women are being murdered at alarming rates across the world. Dalit trans activist Grace Banu highlights the violence and murder committed particularly against trans women belonging to the underprivileged Dalit and Adivasi communities in India. Grace Banu's activism features in an article published earlier this year by Phoenix Media Cooperative. You can see that in the link below. Now, that's all for this week's What's Happening. Remember, Real Media and Phoenix Media Cooperative have joined forces to bring you this and a weekly newsletter to keep you up to date with inspiring actions from around the world. You can subscribe here, but with the link below, to check it out. Also, we'd love for you to tell us if there are any stories or issues you'd like to see us cover in coming newsletters and shows. Thanks for watching. Now remember to like, comment, share and subscribe. Join us again next week for more truly independent news.